Hi, it's Hoshi-chan with Anime on Location at Ohayocon 2016 with Charles. How you doing, Charles?
Is it really 2016? My God, I have no idea what year it is anymore.
That that's what they told me.
Since the year began, this is my third convention this year. So pretty much I have been on the road doing conventions since before New Year's. And I have no idea what day it is.
Yeah, my whole perception of time is just off. I didn't even know the convention was going to be this early, so.
I think, didn't they move the weekend? Wasn't it usually like the last? It wasn't usually conflicting with MagFest, and then they moved it back, and then MagFest moved forward. So now there's nothing going on next week.
I don't even know. So the last time we saw you was at Colossalcon 2015. How you been since then?
Surviving. I managed to go to Japan. Trip went off without a hitch. Crowdfund raised all the money I needed for hotels and for transit. I was given a generous donation from Funimation that paid for my flight. I'm working on the videos in the galleries right now, and it was definitely one of those. It was a once in a lifetime trip that I'm going to try to take again this October. So, twice in a lifetime. I'm going to try to see where that goes. It was fantastic, and since then it's been a lot of conventions. I've done a lot of shows, but such is the life I have chosen for myself.
Interesting life. So you said you study anthropology in college. So what drew you towards that field?
The classes were there, and I could get into them. I like to think of myself as a Renaissance man, so I took courses that would allow me to get exposed to the largest number of new things. So I studied religion because I was interested in discovering the roots of religion. I studied sociology because I was interested in discovering why people gather and how societies are born. I studied anthropology because I really like ancient history, and I was taking a lot of archaeology classes, and I was thoroughly interested in I was fascinated by the intersection between things like belief and population and cultural evolution. And I also was interested in physical evolution and how humans became human. These were all things I chose my coursework not based on the future, but based on what was really grabbing me and what did I like.
That's an interesting way to choose a class. So you talked about how conventions have changed. What's your favorite part about them?
I like how the fandom keeps opening and opening and opening and absorbing and absorbing and absorbing. There's plenty of people that would take me to task for the fact that if an anime con starts going multi-fandom, I actually don't care. A lot of people do. A lot of people really want it to stay about the anime. But for me, I don't like things that cause gatekeeping. I don't like things that cause community to close off. I grew up in a fandom that was ridiculously closed. I was a gamer. I liked Dungeons and Dragons. I liked science fiction. And I always remember the first science fiction convention I went to, I wanted to get involved in some stuff at the show. And the guy says, "You seem like a nice kid, but I don't really know who you are, and I don't really want to know who you are. Why should I give a damn that you want to hang out with me?" And that kind of hit me like, well, why do I have to justify myself to you? And ever since then, I really don't like when people put these arbitrary markers up on being a fan, especially since today fandom is so much more than just being attached to a specific thing, but it's attached to a sensation, it's attached to a community, and for me, that community is the most important part of the deal.
So you said earlier that you took a trip to Japan and you're going back in October.
Yes.
By the way, me and some friends are going in September, and I'm so excited.
September is a beautiful time to go. The heat breaks, and you have the opportunity. It's still warm, so you can run around without a jacket, but you have the opportunity to really get around without having to worry about like mosquitoes and cicadas and sweat dripping down your back. I was there from September 10th to October 1st last year, and I thoroughly loved it. Now I want to go back during the actual fall.
So is there like any interesting stories that you have to tell about your trip?
So the greatest thing, when I went over there, I was looking for more of like, I wanted an experience with the community. I wanted to see what it was like. Not the Japan that we think we're going to see, like the Akibas or like the big temples. I wanted an experience that is indicative of being Japanese. And I was invited to carry a portable shrine. And there was a local festival in the neighborhood next. I was staying in Sugamo with some friends, and the next neighborhood over of Otsuka had a matsuri. And I asked if I could be part, and they said, "Yeah, you could do it. It's like a really long commitment. You're going to be there from 9 in the morning to like 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night. Are you willing? And I said, yeah, sure. Let's do it. Let's do it. I want to do this. So I go over there. I put on like the traditional. They dress me up to look completely funny. And they admit it. We were laughing about it. We all looked the same. We all were wearing tabi, and we all were wearing like hoppy, and it was really cool. And we were talking and chatting, and we were eating and drinking, and it was a really great time to get to know these people. I got a chance to go around carrying this half-ton shrine with like 22 other people. And I got a chance to, talk. The people were impressed that I was willing to spend my time with them, and they asked me what I thought of Japan, they asked me where I was going, why I was visiting, and towards the end of the day, I had this little kid runs up to me at one point, hands me one French fry, and says thank you for participating. And later I meet the community elder, and he's a really nice guy. And he just wanted to know why I was interested. And he said, like, this is the way, he says, that Kami-sama has brought us all together. And through Kami-sama, we were able to share this experience. And I was touched by that. I was touched that at the end of the day, I felt like I was part of this community. And it was because I was willing to give up my time to work on one of their traditions. And then I lost my rail pass. And that was a $500 investment, and you can't get a rail pass when you're in Japan. You have to get them outside of the country. So I'm screwed. And the next day, I go to the Ghibli Museum. I do a few things. I come back. Someone on the route, when I was carrying the shrine, found it, took it back to the police station, and it found its way back to me. And the woman who found it just said, I hope you truly enjoy your trip. And I was that was like one of those things, like that random moment where you realize that I was saying that Tokyo reminded me of New York, but that would never happen where I'm from. But it happened there, and of everything I did when I was in Japan, that trip to Otsuka was the one thing that I will never forget.
Oh, that was so sweet. So you raised a lot of good points in the last interview about the community. What would you like to see the most to get more people into the fandom?
Well, I'd like to see a lot more opening up of the community. The community it's opening, but I also see pushback. I also see like little cliques forming. I'd like to see people more willing to sit down and talk. I really would like to see more people talking about anime. One of the things I liked at this convention was when I go to a lot of conventions, like you hear a lot of stuff about like Undertale or about all these other fandoms. I play Undertale. I really like it, but you hear all this. And then over this weekend, I heard so many people talking about anime, shows that I had not heard people talk about in ages. And that kind of made me feel good as a fan of the medium, because it shows that there still is a timeless quality to this. Well, sometimes when I do panels, I bring up Cowboy Bebop, and there are people that don't know what it is. I bring up Outlaw Star, and there are people that don't know what it is. These are shows that meant a lot to me. And I like it that now they're starting to get rediscovered at shows, and I would love for more of a classical appreciation of the old animation to come back, because it shows that there is a long legacy that we can tie into, and it really is an amazing thing. When people come to conventions because their friends are here, and they come away from the conventions with a deeper appreciation for the medium, that makes me feel good as well, because it shows that it's perpetuating itself.
Like, I completely agree. Like, I have a friend that was saying that at anime conventions, it's starting to look more like high school, where like
Yay, teens! I think Ed Sizemore said that a couple of years ago, that they're turning into Yay Teens events. I'm sorry if you didn't say that, Ed, but I thought we were having a conversation about it. And the idea was that a lot of times you have your rave that draws in a lot of people. You have kids hanging in the hall just chanting and screaming and hooray, hooray, hooray. And the fandom and the thing that brought them there is dropping by the wayside. I like that I'm starting to sometimes see these events changing a bit. Some of the events are starting to skew younger. I've done a few conventions that when I started were full of college kids, and now they're full of high school kids. But then it's like this show here. I had so many dedicated people showing up that were in college, that were older, that were coming around because they wanted to learn and they wanted to gain deeper knowledge. It was great to see that. It reminded me why I do this. And I feel validated now at the end of the weekend that it's still a thing.
So, we know that you're working on 2 books. How's that going?
Well, I decided that the Ghibli book I'm doing is a serial, because I was afraid I was going to have to delay that even further, because it's become very hard to research and write that, because I'm trying to finish the Kill la Kill book, and I have a new yokai book I want to put out by collecting some of my tales and my old website content and refurbishing it and polishing and making it better. So I decided with the Ghibli book that I'm going to do it as a serial. Every few months I put out another 10 to 15,000 words. And people who pre-ordered it will get their hands on it. Other people, I just started getting physical copies, and this way, I don't get like bored or drawn down into the work. I'm able to put my ideas out there, and I get to talk about what I want, and people get more excited to see it. It comes out every few months, so that at that point you get waiting for something new, and then gets back on people's minds again. I'm doing that with the Ghibli one, and so far I've done pretty good with the first volume, which is looking at how when you watch the films in order from Castle Cagliostro all the way to Mononoke, you're seeing a man confronting his life, looking at the past, looking at the present, and trying to find his place, his own authentic self, and then he makes the playful, lighthearted movies that he wants.
So, is there any upcoming projects that your fans should know about?
Just watch the Facebook group. I am relaunching Study of Anime. It's going to happen, and by the time this video comes out, it might have already happened. Study of Anime has been a typecast for me. I came up with the name literally on the fly because I needed to register a domain. And ever since then, I've been wanting a rebrand. I've been wanting to do something because I don't just do anime. People seem to think that I just do anime. I do anime, I do history. I don't just do Japanese. I do all over the world. I have a strong, healthy amount of interests that I pour my energy into. I talk about video games. I talk about gaming culture. So I'm going to start rebranding myself coming hopefully in February. I'm going to have new material. And if you check the Study of Anime Facebook, if you check the Study of Anime Twitter, you're going to see that happen. Study of Anime, I'm going to start handing over to other people to continue that tradition down because the site's about 6 years old and I don't want to see it go away. I want other people to contribute for it. But as for me, I'm going to move over to things like video. I'm going to move over to things like commentary tracks. And I'm going to start moving over to things that I've evolved as a person. I am not the same 28-year-old who started Study of Anime as a way of getting a little nexus point for my master's research. I'm 35. And there's new things that I want. There's new things that I do. Also, I'm 35. I don't have the energy I used to. So conventions are starting to become harder for me. So I'm trying to get it to the point where I can, like, more audiences can read it, more people can experience it. So keep an eye on that. I also am going to be going back to Japan in the fall to visit the one part of the island I didn't get to see. I didn't get to go to Hokkaido. I want to go to Hokkaido really, really badly. So the friend I spent my week in Osaka with booked us some plane tickets, really cheap, got us a room, really cheap, and we're going to fly back in October, so in between some cons, so I can go back and I can go visit Hokkaido for the first time.
Well, I hope you have some fun. Is there any way that your fans can keep up to date with you online?
Well, the Facebook group's been doing good. It's facebook.com/study of anime. I may have hit 700 as of today. I'm trying to get to 1,000. I'm going to be doing some competitions to try and raise it up to 1,000. So I would like to get it up to 1,000 people before the rebrand happens. That is where I do most of my stuff. I post a lot of articles that I pull from various news sites on there. When I'm at a convention, I flood it with pictures and I flood it with things that I've done. And what I love about Facebook versus, say, Twitter or the website is on Facebook, people comment. People send me messages. I can see how many people have been following it. I can see how many people are sharing it. It's not just random numbers. I really like that. I really like how Facebook has given me that opportunity to reach this audience, and it's allowed me to merge all of my social media into one site. So I'm keeping up with the Facebook. I'm loving the Facebook. So take a look. It's facebook.com/study of anime, and that's my material.
So thank you so much for joining us today, and it was a pleasure to meet you. And thank you so much for our live audience.
Ladies and gentlemen, yay team! Ladies and gentlemen, the founder of the Golden Anniversary Project, Jeff Tebbets. Because of him, I have a new panel.
So you heard it here on Anime on Location. Peace.